My love deserves to be.
Hello, how you doing today? It's pleasant again on this show, and I have a very reputable person here with me this afternoon that has over 20 years cognate experience in the architectural industry. He is the head of department architecture in Bells University of Technology, Ota, Ogun State. He's a person of Dr. Adewunle Alabi, a chartered architect. It's nice to have you on this show this afternoon, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Real estate and architecture, there are things that go hands in hands, in it. And over time, we have seen that people neglect architects. Go ahead, build their fine building, erect beautiful edifices and all of that. But then, I know that this is not supposed to be so. Because you come to professionals, not just have one engineer on one side or just have one bricklayer to just construct your house for you. I think that you are good to go. And the real estate, we know that it is not just all about making money. Even though there's money in real estate, we understand that there are still some things to it about beautifying, construction, building of edifice. How does architecture come into real estate, sir?
Well, that's a beautiful question. Let me just give a simple definition of architecture.
All right, sir.
Architecture is the art and science of designing building. And we design building to satisfy our client's needs. But there's a greater thing or what we want to achieve as an architect. And that's meeting the societal needs. When we look at the definition, that is art and science.
Yeah.
So there's an angle that is scientific, where we render services, and there's a process. When you engage an architect, a chartered architect, there's a process. So the architect takes through these rudiments, in terms of structure, in terms of services that make the building to work. If you go through all those processes, then you have a good building. Then the other aspect is the artistic. The artistic where, your building has to be pleasant, it has to be beautiful. So when you look at those two,
yes,
you know that architecture should be an architect should be engaged. And there's something I would like to point your mind to. That is architecture being the engine of development, or machine for development. Let me put it that way.
Okay, sir.
Machine for development for any society. So if you want to look at a society, if a society is doing very well, you look at the development. I mean the physical development now. So in terms of real estate, like you mentioned, architecture plays a good role there. Development, you look at the architecture. That's good architecture, because people put a whole lot of things out there that are not architecture. Maybe we'll get there later.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. In the process of you bringing out the artistic design out of it, what forms your decision? Do you just go to a particular parcel of land, think a design out of your head, and then that is it, and it is approved?
Well, as I said earlier, it's a process. You need to first engage an architect. You're having something in your mind that you want to do as a client. You have a building, might be commercial. And real estate, it can be commercial, it can be residential,
yes,
and it can be industrial.
Yeah, it can be
so whatever type of real estate development you want to carry out, you need to engage the architect to conceptualize for you.
Okay.
And it will look at a whole lot of documentation in terms of planning approval, in terms of production drawings, liaising with other professionals, in carrying out proper documentation, because you don't want to fail as a real estate person. You don't want, along the way, your project is not going on well. So you need to look at all this and prefer to pick an architect, because at the end of the day, you will be happy with what you have, and you say this is architecture. This is architecture, because it's not all buildings that are architecture.
Yeah.
You see a building, you can walk past that building if it's not architecture. But you see some building and you keep looking. In fact, you can fall off the road looking at
let me buy this house.
Yes, because some iconic buildings globally, you see them and it's appealing. It has this aesthetic, appealing.
Talking about the aesthetic part of architecture, why is it that in our country all we have to show as the best is our national theatre that is even defunct? You know, we see Paris, we see all of those places, we see what they showcase on the TV, we see what represents, so to say, the country. That okay, when you come to the country, this place I want to go and check it, I want to check it out.
Okay.
Why is it that all we are seeing is the national theatre that I went to when I was in primary 5 and I don't pray to go back there again?
Well, I think you're still dwelling on the aesthetic angle.
Yeah.
But let me draw you also to a very good book of architecture by Marcus Vitruvius.
Okay.
You know, he wrote a book, you know, to the 10 books of the 10 book on architecture.
Wow.
Now, in this 10 book, there's a part where he talked about the Vitruvius principle.
Okay.
You know, and the principle, just 3 of them. The Fermitas, which talks about the strength of the building, the stability of the building, that's the structure.
Okay.
Then there is the Utilitas, which talks about the usefulness or the functionality of the building.
All right, sir.
Then the part that you are dwelling more on, that's the aesthetics. That's the Venustas, that's the third one. Talks about beauty, talks about aesthetics. So those other aspects are good, you know. The stability of, you don't want to build a building that will collapse.
Yeah.
I don't want to build a building that is not functional. So those 3 things actually yes, they work hand in hand. But I would say that when you want to hold on to architecture, the core there is still the Venustas, you know, the beauty of it, the appealing nature.
Yeah.
You first one is
What attracts?
Yes, what attracts. Then when you go in, you begin to appreciate the functionality.
Yeah.
That's the utilitas. Then you begin to hopefully work and the strength, not collapse. In fact, you can't even see the strength.
Yes,
because it's inbuilt.
Yeah, you can't see.
Except when the building collapse, that's when everybody starts.
This is not
so all those other ones are hidden. They are also quite important, but it's very good.
So does that mean that
the
the presence of the architecture, does that mean that they work hand in hand with the developers, the engineers, through the construction of buildings and all of that to ensure the stability?
Okay. An architect, when you engage an architect, we have allied professionals that we work with.
Okay.
You know, we have the town planners.
Yeah.
You know, through the approval process that you go through.
Yes.
We have the structural engineer,
Yeah.
depending on the number of floors and all of that. You know, for structural stability, you work with them. Then the MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineers.
Okay.
You know, you want your building to work.
Yes, sir.
You want to flush and, you know,
Exactly.
be sure that your sanitary wares they're all intact. So these professionals, we work with them. So it's a coordination thing, you know, and we coordinate these professionals when it comes to the built environment.
Thank you very much, sir. You know, last year we saw the very sad occurrence that happened in Ikoyi, whereby a building collapsed and many people lost their lives. What could an architect have done to avert that particular situation? Because we heard that an approval was given, but it was flouted. What could have been the work of an architect to prevent such from happening?
Well, I think the investigation is still ongoing, although we've been getting some feelers. When it comes to building collapse, there are many factors. I think majorly we look at there can be structural failure, there can be design failure, and there can be the materials too. You know, how the composition of the materials during the construction stages, because there are stages where, you know, proper supervision would ensure that all those things, that there's no compromise.
Yeah.
You know, because we talk about structural integrity and all of that, there must, you know, be checks and balances along the way. Well, we've not really gotten to the root of the matter, but I'll emphasize that you know, that the general public engages an architect. I will encourage, you know, when people hear architect, they say, money,
Yeah.
you know, but in the long run, you're actually saving money. because we put a whole lot into building. When we're constructing or we're designing building, we put a lot into saving money, into getting the best for the client. So in the long run, I mean, look at the 21-story building you're talking about. It's a colossal loss to the investors, to the company, to the society, to the nation at large, and it's even it has a ripple effect globally.
Yes.
Because I learned that the real estate it has some other
things outside
Nigeria. So it would have affected
before coming back.
Yes, it would have affected those other countries. Yes. So you can see how it's a global village. Yes. Whatever you do, the little part of
has an effect.
Yes, it goes out there. So and what people portray about us, we need to change our mindsets. We need to start doing what is right, as a society. We have professionals. If you have a toothache, you don't go and meet a carpenter.
Exactly.
You go and meet a dentist.
Exactly.
So we need to know our place. If you want to engage somebody, you want to design a house, meet an architect. And
beautiful.
Be a better.
Thank you very much, sir. Let's say I'm an investor and I want to buy a building that is under a real estate company, a real estate developer, so to say, and they are saying, okay, this is a off-plan property. Off-plan, I think you know what an off-plan property is, sir. So this is an off-plan property. How would I be able to monitor that this has the hand of an architect in it? How will I be able to monitor that this will not have a structural damage, even in the presence of them still building? Because when they are still building, you can still go there, look at the site and take a look and all of that. How will I be sure that this company engage the service of an architect?
Well, do you mean the
as an investor?
An investor.
How will I be sure that this company that I want to invest in, that wants to build for me,
if it's using a professional
architect?
I want to, investors should be very careful. You should check the background of any real estate or a developer.
Yeah.
That you're putting your money, hard-earned money into. Like those that put their money into the 21-story.
Yeah.
It's a sad one. You should do a kind of background check. Unfortunately, I think he has done a lot before.
Yes.
They need to also have an awareness. I think awareness plays a long way here. People need to be aware of the processes. I said it's a rhythm, it's a process.
Yes.
From the clients, up to completion and all of that. They need to understand this process, and maybe once in a while come around, check, do your own little investigation, about the construction.
Yeah.
Find out who are those constructing it and all that. Check their pedigree. Have they done anything of such magnitude before. And before, investing with them. I think you need to do that.
That's very important. That's very important. Check their background, look at their pedigree, look at their success story, what they've been able to achieve at the long run, and you can be able to go in with them. Beautiful, sir. Sir, I was on Instagram a few days ago, and this complaint has been going around, and this one I saw it myself. It was not palatable. I saw a kitchen whereby someone that is a bit chubby will not be able to enter into that place to cook for him or herself. So tiny and all of that. What is happening? Is it that these landlords, these house owners are not doing the right thing? Is it that they just want to make money? I don't know. What's happening? What's happening especially Lagos?
Well, Lagos is a cosmopolitan city.
Yeah.
And every day people are trooping in,
day by day.
In thousands.
Yeah. No lies.
And they need to live somewhere. They need to have a house.
So they are trying to control the deficit.
There is a high demand for housing.
Yes.
And I think the government needs to leverage on that. They need to take advantage of that and maybe come up with some kind of framework So we need to meet the housing needs of the populace, because people keep coming in.
Would that be something like low-cost housing estate that was done by Latif Jakonde?
Well, it's beyond that now. We could start looking at maybe building skyscrapers. Of course, with proper monitoring and all of that. Not like what happened. We need to start. We need to, because the land is not there. So we need to be creative, maybe, increase the number of floors during approval.
After approval.
Yes. And also, you talked about a place being not too comfortable and all of that. I've seen a lot. I've seen staircases, veering off, in the other direction. You have the riser and the tread. The riser and the tread where you step underneath. Like a ramp, and the top is now a ramp. Funny things like that. We need to engage architects. Architects are trained, to design houses.
Yes.
I mean, they go through this training six years in the university. That's the minimum. 6 years. And after 6 years, with the tutelage, they still, before becoming an actor, you need 2 years engaged, with a supervisor that is a chartered architect. Minimum of 2 years. So when you add that together, that's 8 years minimum, and they are trained for this. So we need to engage them, and in the long run, we will not only help ourselves, we will help our society, we will help our nation, and the world will be better for it.
That's true. So you people, you are listening, you need to engage the service of an architect, because at the long run, the money you don't want to spend, you spend more than that. So it's better for you to engage their services and just enjoy the best. So you've spoken about the housing deficit, how the Lagos State government can come in and just take advantage of that. The body of architects in Nigeria, in Lagos State, what are the things that they are doing to ensure that real estate is going very well? We are having like the aesthetics that we talked about earlier. Are there bodies that are also building? Are there bodies of architects that are also into real estate? Are there bodies that are also trying to give us, beautiful structures around places in the country?
Well, real estate is a business.
Yeah.
It has a business angle. And recently, globally, we found architects going into real estate because there's actually a huge demand to meet housing needs, or maybe business-wise in terms of development, industrialization, in terms of commercial needs, maybe offices, retail outlets, like what we see around, and some of these retail outlets, they come from different countries, it's a global village now, people move from maybe South Africa, come and build a mall and all of that. Yes.
They're making their money.
They are making their money. So, we need to really take advantage. Our population is an advantage.
Yes.
We need to leverage on our population. We can, and, for our politicians out there, we need to make our society work. Let's make our society work. You find people trying to boycott. They try to, cut corners. When it comes to housing and all of that.
Yes.
We need to be focused and make use of professionals. If we do that, I think we'll have problem of all this problem coming up with and all of that, because the real estate or what we call industry, the industry is booming.
Yeah, it is.
It's booming. So some architects are getting involved in it, And then we have some architects that are also going into development.
Okay.
You know, they see a building, they retrofit, maybe for commercial purpose. They can actually look at a building, an abandoned building, and just, you know,
do abracadabra.
Just do something, you know, and it becomes, yes, it comes out, and they're making their money. It's good. Architects should go into that. It's a good one. It's a good one.
So before we end this, I've heard a lot about architectural drawings. What is that about? Can you kindly educate me? What is the usefulness?
Well, architectural drawing, it's a tool, you know, that we architects use to showcase our innate ability. Because architecture is an innate thing. It goes through a think tank process. Creativity, which is deep. And we create, you know, things that not in existence. We are so ingenuine in our production. Yes, you know, just like the Bible, we are co-creators. In fact, God created the earth and just left architects to do the rest. I'm telling you. So there's this deep level of creativity, and I also encourage architects. It's not all about, you know, the money. You know, if the money is very important, but we should do something that would be sustainable.
Outlive.
Yes, that would outlive us. A building that would satisfy
transgenerational
femitars, that would stand for life.
Yes,
you know,
that can compete in the
that would be useful.
World.
The utilitas that I talked about. Yeah. Then the venue stars, that's the beauty that people can still keep. People refer to Sydney Opera House. Yeah. They are iconic buildings.
Yes.
Guggenheim Museum, iconic building. The Burj Al Arab, you know, you want to visit those buildings. Yes. They are now tourist centers. So we can also create, you know, we can create such in Nigeria. You know, you talked about seeing some structure. We can do it. We can do it.
And the name of the architect can never go down.
Yes.
And then that will be something of repute, bringing even money to the country and all of that, becoming a tourist center. Wow.
You're right.
Wow. It has been a beautiful session with you, sir. I want to say thank you very much for being with me on this session. Thank you so much. I believe that your students too, they will become Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. I look forward to having you some other time. I have one or two things to still discuss with you, sir. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you. God bless you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.